Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Saturn making a square, opposition, or inconjunct aspect to one's natal Venus. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve Saturn, this could be about limitations, restrictions, responsibilities, delays, sorrow, fear, inhibitions. And the thing about this is when you have the transit Saturn basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal Venus. When I say basically adverse aspect, I'm going to elaborate on that, okay, because the square and opposition aspects, of course, are adverse negative aspects in astrology. Now, the inconjunct aspect is seen as neutral, but it can have good neutral aspects, of course, can have good and bad qualities to them. So, an inconjunct often requires an adjustment or transition, which of course can produce some tension and exasperation. So, basically, an adverse aspect, collectively. Now is how I see it. Now, anyway, when you have transit Saturn basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal Venus, well, it may manifest in limitations, restrictions, responsibilities, duties, delays, sorrow, despondency, fear, apprehension, inhibitions. These things may conflict with one's money or ability to make money or desire to make money. One may be feeling somewhat despondent or even depressed at this time. It might impact their maybe even their desire to make money, their ability at this time. It could to do so. It could be a delay in receiving some funds, and say if a Capricorn is involved somewhere, it could be something where it may be delay from some government pay that you were waiting on, like say if you were receiving Social Security disability as an example. Another thing too is that Venus is also connected with love and romance, and this is something where you might feel like you're getting the cold shoulder from lovers at this time. There might be some delay, maybe in meeting up with somebody if you're involved. Have a significant other or even a marriage partner, or it could even be a superficial connection. And it could be something where again you might feel there might be some responsibilities to this person that are just maybe might be wearing you down at this time, and or maybe even or perhaps even responsibilities might even be conflicting with this person right now, and you're torn between your career and your love life. I have this placement, I have Saturn square my Venus natally in my chart, so I could kind of understand where this how this energy can manifest, because I have this natally, and I think there's been torn a lot of times that I may be dominated by work, and that might be conflicting with any possible relationship I could have. But anyway, another thing too is that Venus is also connected with our values as well. So it might be something where our work or career is not something we generally value or even really enjoy at this time. A lot of people don't enjoy any kind of laborious work or their career, regardless of whatever transits they're experiencing or going through, but it may be more intensified with this transit as opposed to many others. And it could be something, looking at this transit too. Remember that Venus is also, it's not just about, romantic relationships. They can be connected with our important or significant friendships as well. And it might be that, our responsibilities, maybe, or, duties or work life may be conflicting, having perhaps your enjoyment with important friendships at this time, and you might feel, especially I'd say with the opposition, there might be like this tug of war going on between the two of those things at this point in time. And say if your natal Venus, going back to the zodiac sign Capricorn as an example, it could be older friends, or if you have your natal Venus in Sagittarius. It could be ones that, could be, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, or simply embody those characteristics. Or some people that are just, like to do things outdoors, or are adventurous, or into sports, as some examples. Now, Venus is also about our peace, and it can be connected with peace and tranquility. It might be a time where maybe older people, or it could be the father, authority figures, somehow they may be presenting a challenge to that in your life at this time when you have this transit. It could be where there might be some upsetting situations in your career that might be causing a challenge or a conflict to you having that peace and tranquility in your life. And say if you've got Aries involved in this, it might be some even some volatile or contentious situation at this time. And now Venus is also associated with art, and if you're somebody that's into art, and say if you were trying to make a career out of it at this time, you may wait. It might be better waiting until this transit ends, because Saturn, of course, could be connected with the career, and it might require more of an effort for some reason to be doing things of an artistic nature at this time. Saturn is about laborious efforts. You just might not really, you might feel it's more work than it is enjoyment at this time. If you are if you are interested, or if that is an endeavor, or it's something that you have as a hobby, or something you just like to do, or it's part of your employment or work life. The thing about it is, now your Venus is also connected with possessions and resources. So if you're trying to, it could be something very simple, like if you're trying to obtain something, say in the mail, and you ordered some product, it could be a delay in that. It might be Saturn is also about difficulties. It could be about getting some product, that may not, be working at this time. And say, Venus is natal Venus is in Aquarius. It might be something, with a computer or something is not, maybe it's not operating right at this time. There's something, with astronomy, like a telescope that's for whatever reason, lens is blurred, or something that's just not, working properly, because Saturn can be about difficulties in general. Now, the thing about it is too, anatomically speaking, Venus is connected up with the throat, the neck, the thyroid, the lower back, and kidneys. So this might present more difficulties with these things at this time if you do have these problems, especially if this is something that's a current ongoing issue at this time. And it might cause more of a conflict with your work life, with your career, and just general responsibilities you may have to do at this time. And the thing about this too is, when you look at when you look at this transit as well, this is also situation. Venus is about our self-esteem, so it might be harder, maybe where there might be some restriction in your life that might be playing some kind of role in your self-esteem, your self-worth, or how you feel about yourself. Say if the if the natal transit Saturn is in Taurus, it might be something over a monetary matter, your resources. Maybe there's maybe it's something where you feel there's a restriction in your persistence in general, and it might be causing problems with self-esteem and self-worth and how you feel about yourself. Now, Venus is also connected with our enjoyment. So it might be harder to enjoy ourselves at this time when work might be dominating, or it might be having the general conflict again with Saturn about work, Venus about enjoyment. It could be that we're trying to enjoy yourself too much at the expense of your your work life, your career at this time, and responsibilities that you may have to do. And now Venus is also connected with legalities and lawsuits. So at this time, you might be experiencing more difficulty with these things at this time. It could be some cases, I mean, you might be, Saturn is about despondency. These things might be causing more sorrow for you. At this time, it might be trying to deal with a lawsuit from an older person or an authority figure or somebody Saturn related. It could be somebody, in accounting maybe, or, the government in some cases. Maybe you're involved in a suit with them. Maybe you're suing the government for something. Could also be, I mean, Venus is also about negotiations. So there might be some kind of delay in these matters right now. Hold on a moment, people. Say if the zodiac sign Cancer is involved, it might be a negotiation over land or some property issue. And some examples are, Taurus is involved, it might be over some possession at this time, material item. Now also too, you might be more apprehensive regarding perhaps a love interest at this time, a romantic situation. Say if that might be a prospective love interest. Now say for example, if the natal Venus is in Aquarius, it might be somebody that you might see as overly eccentric or unpredictable, rebellious, non-conforming, and these things might cause a little apprehension in terms of you getting involved with this person at this time. Now, it may also be, too, where it may be more of a laborious effort to actually make money and generate income at this time. Say if the natal Venus is in Taurus as an example, it could be doing something like working as a stockbroker or banking or finance, or working as a pawnbroker, or architecture, agriculture as some examples. Now, it could also be where a father, or it could be an authority figure, older person, may be really adverse to the things that you enjoy in your life. Now, say, for example, if the natal Venus is in Aries, maybe it's just something simple like playing war games, or it could be collecting, some kind of weapons. It might be, just doing something, with combat sports, or anything that could be Aries related. Now, at this time as well, responsibilities may conflict with the things that you really value in your life. Now, say, for example, if natal Venus is in Pisces, maybe it's something with the metaphysical, which includes astrology. It could be, poetry. It could just simply be sleeping, relaxing, and meditating at this time. Perhaps just valuing, maybe not doing much of anything. And now, also, too, Saturn can be connected with chronic illnesses. So if you do have a chronic illness, debilitating illness, it may adversely affect your relationships or significant friendships at this time. Say if the transit Saturn is in Scorpio as an example, there might be some chronic issue with the colon, the prostate or bladder, or even the groin area, if that is possible. It could be some, also too, you might feel at this time might be some, there may just simply be not feeling, there may be some restrictions and limitations that might be adversely affecting your self-worth, your self-esteem, and how you feel about yourself. And as I was stating before, if Saturn is in, Taurus, and transit Saturn Taurus, it could be something of a monetary nature, or, lack of resources or possessions, even persistence. If transit Saturn is in Gemini, it might be something where you feel at this time you're restricted in being able to really be versatile, and versatility and diversifying at this time, or even mental aptitude or ability, as some examples, ability to assimilate and process information. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.